Today's poem is by French surrealist, surprise, surprise, Joyce Mansour, who was one of the finest poets associated with the movement. She joined relatively late in the 1950s, I think, but she was part of a new generation to breathe fresh life into an old movement. And I'm going to read, I think this was the first poem of hers that I read, and it's translated as Anti-Mnemonic Self-Vaccination. New stirrings converge in the mist. The embryo slams the envious womb's door. Scimitar cry, splitting air, blood, eyes spurt in the damp blue throat of Egypt's swallow hole. I'm told I was born heavily in England. My father, gentle horse bureaucrat, club foot and limpet mind, sent abroad or carpeted. My mother never knew I smoked big cigars. The breathless pack arrives late for the kill. Boiled food, rumbling stomach, matting, cancer. Widow at 19. Standing between two candles, I saw on the red sheet of my closed, dry eyes 12 unissued passports. And because this briefly refers to her own birth, and because she has influenced my work so much, I'm going to read a poem about my birth from Self-Portrait by Night. I wrote this in a workshop run by Helen Ivory, and she encouraged us simply to write a poem about that early period of our lives which we do not remember. So I wrote this. It's a true story that my mother has told me many times about a cockroach in the hospital where I was born, landing on her belly as she was giving birth to me. So here we go. It's called Cockroach. I began when the cockroach fell. The cockroach was on the ceiling. The ceiling was in a hospital. The hospital was in a city, and the cockroach on the ceiling fell. Underneath the ceiling and the cockroach were my mother and her belly, and inside her belly, me. When the cockroach fell from the ceiling, it landed on the things underneath, my mother and her belly. The midwife looked from the belly to my mother's face and back to the belly again. And then I was out of the belly, and I was in the room. And the midwife and my mother looked at me and at the cockroach and then at me again, under a ceiling, in a hospital, in a city.